All right. So it says it's recording.
Okay.
Cool. So this is something new that I'm trying. I've thought about it for a while. Um, I'm just average white heterosexual Christian dude from America, except I'm a Texan, so that makes me awesome. So I've always had this idea about, or not always, but for a while, about getting to know people who are different than me in different ways, but also similarities. I think our society is all about, like, let's don't talk about the differences. We got so much in common. Let's talk about some differences. I think that's a good thing. So the first person who agreed to do this to help me out is Azar. We went to college together at UT Dallas.
Yeah, huge comments.
Whoosh. She was young. I was kind of old, but I think the first time we all really hung out together was that Model UN trip. You were on that, right?
Yes, I was.
Yes, I know your brother was, and I was pretty sure you were there. So I'm glad I'm not like saying, "Oh yeah, she was there," and you weren't there.
No, I was there. So it was like I think Ryan, Rocio.
Yes.
Really keep in touch with anybody else, but
Yeah, and yeah, there was somebody, I can't remember her name, but she was like our leader, I guess. It wasn't Rocio, I don't think.
no, it wasn't Rocio. It was like the team lead that had done like Model UN the year before.
Yeah, and she like legit did it, not like, oh, I showed up to sign up for a class, like me. Like, I'm just here for some credit, and I don't want to write a paper, so I'll go to DC with y'all for 75 bucks. And
Pretty
so it's funny because she actually went to school with my middle brother.
Ah.
Yeah, it's really weird. I think she was in band. That's how we figured it out, because he was a band nerd. So, well, we'll go ahead and start off since this is really not me. So, real quick, in 2 minutes or less, I ain't timing you, like I said. This not a hard 2 minutes, but just tell me about your life in about 2 minutes or less.
Okay. Well, I was born in England. We moved to Illinois when I was about two and a half, 3, maybe 3.5. So I did grow up in Illinois, and then we moved to Texas about 12 years ago. I would say that I am a forever optimist. People call me a dreamer, and so people have to bring me back down and not be so head in the clouds. I love my family. I love my friends. They've been a huge impact in my life. What's written down now? I can't remember any of them. I became a derived citizen, which for people who don't know means like your parents were a citizen, and then you, because of them being citizens, since you're a minor, that's how I became a U.S. citizen when I was about 10, maybe 11.
Okay.
And so the whole process was really interesting, and that's kind of what sparked my interest in politics and government. My dream job is to work for the FBI, or just do something that, makes a positive impact on the world and makes a positive difference and helps people and just leaves the world a better place than what I'm in. Not that it's a bad place, but just helps make it better.
Right. Could be worse. Definitely could be better, but yes, not a bad place.
And I'm the oldest of 3, so I think that kind of makes me a little bit bossy, but it also kind of makes me like a mother hen or caring, just because I have to look out for them sometimes and cover for them.
I know the feeling. So the first big question I really wanted to get into with you is, obviously, I'm a man, you're a woman.
Mm-hmm.
As a woman, what do you see as a positives and negatives in our society, just from your perspective?
Just from my perspective. So, of course, this does not go back to where I work at all or anyone else sees, just how I see it.
Right.
First and foremost, I am so incredibly thankful for all the generations of men and women before me who have helped create a world where I, as a woman, am allowed to be my own person and make my own decisions and have an impact in what I want to do with my life. I think, we've come so far, and there's, of course, still so much more that we can grow and develop. I mean, there's still a lot of sexism in the workplace, whereas, like, for example, like in the military or law enforcement industries, that's primarily been male dominated. Women still have this huge glass ceiling that they have to try and break, where if they make mistakes, the same mistakes a male colleague makes, that they made that mistake because they're a woman, but it's not a big deal if the guy makes it.
Right.
Or, for example, like in terms of being a manager or supervisor, if there's a male supervisor or a female supervisor, people, not a lot of people, but not everyone, but a lot of people automatically will assume that the guy has seniority or the guy is more knowledgeable than the woman. And that just frustrating to deal with, and having people doubt you or assume that just because of your gender that you can't do something as well. But then again, it's also very empowering to be a woman, where I know for a fact that being a woman, if I wanted to start my family sooner and have maternity leave, I would have no problems doing it. Or if I had to work my work schedule around my family, people are far more likely to be accommodating since I'm a woman than if it's for a guy for maternity leave or family leave, or if it's a single dad trying to help his family.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the whole being in charge or being supervisor type stuff, because well, my job, it's a lot of females, and there's been a time where I was in charge. I was an assistant supervisor, and then I stepped down from that. And it's funny because people who never saw me in that role, they'll come in, and if it's somebody from a company that works on our systems or something, they go straight to me. Like, I'm not in charge, dude. Like, and it's funny, we were talking about one time when you give out an award for who gets the most people coming to them asking questions because they think they're in charge, and it would be me almost all the time. Me or one. There's a couple other males I work with, but yeah, we would be the ones. That's funny. But so if I'm gonna go to the religious question first, actually, because you're Muslim, I'm Christian, like I said earlier. So how do you integrate your religious beliefs into your day-to-day life?
Okay. Well, I'm not as religious as other people are who are Muslim. So for me, it's a little bit different. But for example, I don't eat any pork. I don't drink alcohol. I try and dress somewhat modestly at work, and I try and, pray 5 times a day. I ask God or in Arabic, Allah, for guidance, almost every day, and ask him for help. And I think people put so much focus on the differences in religion that they almost feel the need to, it's like competitive when it doesn't need to be. Especially like Abrahamic faith, a lot of them have the similar core beliefs. And I think being monotheistic, people think that, saying Allah means that I believe in a different God than necessarily you, but Allah is just the Arabic word for God.
Okay.
And I think for me, like my mom, like I don't wear the head covering, obviously, but my mom does, and a lot of people in my family who are women do. And I think for me, growing up, my mom has always taught me to be, for Islam, that you're supposed to practice it to what you're comfortable with. I think that's kind of helped shape me and how I am. And like definitely there's people in my family who are more religious than I am, but I think a lot of it's also like how I was growing up and what I experienced. And I truly do believe that it's more important to be a good person and to believe in God and do the right thing and try your best, excuse me, necessarily say you're one religion over another.
Yeah, we've had plenty of discussions here recently about religious things. I always enjoy I was going to say back and forth. We're not debating. I think we're two people trying to understand each other's religious beliefs. And I always enjoy that, just, like I've told you before, I learn about religious stuff and everything like that. And, just, I guess our society is becoming more, I don't want to say used to or whatever, but becoming more educated about the Muslim faith, because growing up, I know I saw Muslims, but it was few and far between, and there's definitely at least in this area, there's a larger population than what there was at one time.
That's why, like, if somebody is Islamophobic or they are, I don't want to use a word, like they're weary of Muslims, it's probably because they haven't had a lot of exposure besides the negative exposure of 9/11 and of what they see on the news. And so for me, I'd rather leave somebody with a better image or better perception of Islam than necessarily just, finding aggression with aggression.
Right. And so kind of talking about that, like you said, you're not as religious, even though it is a part of your life. So would you, I'm going to go a little off right here, so sorry. But would you say it's definitely a part of culture for you then? Definitely religious, but a lot of culture as well.
Well, see, that's what's so complicated, because my culture, like for me, is such a hodgepodge of like being a Americanized, English-born Muslim desi, where I don't feel like I fit in being fully Westernized, like being, and living in America. I don't feel like I fit in with the desi culture. I don't feel like I fit in fully with like the Islamic culture. So I feel like since I'm such a like a mesh of different things. My experiences are very unique to me and what my life's been.
Right.
And by like not super religious, I mean like I don't, like I don't wear the head covering. I am not someone who, like, I worked at a place where I had to sell alcohol, and to me, as long as I wasn't the one drinking it, that was like okay.
Gotcha.
Or I've gone to places where my friends are drinking, or they're eating pork, and some people will totally avoid that. But to me, once again, like, you have to integrate to the society you live in, and so
Mhm.
as long as I'm not the one doing that, and like my friends don't pressure me, why can't I hang out with them?
Right. As long as you stay true to your beliefs, your core beliefs. So speaking of culture, so if an alien asked you to identify and describe your culture, what would you say to them? And
I
like
would
an alien from outer space.
I would say that I'm the worst person to choose from because mine's so unique. It's like it doesn't even describe any full culture. Like I was telling you, since I've like have so many different influences in my life, my culture is made up of that. So I don't like. It's hard to say. Like I don't know, I just feel like I'm a traveling nomad that's like stuck in one place, but has all these different influences that motivate my decisions or motivate my way of thinking and influence me.
So when you were growing up, what differences did you notice between yourself and friends?
Um, well, I think tying back to like what you're asking, a part of growing up is like my culture was a part of it, and part of that was my family's extremely close. Like we're very, very close. Not just like my immediate family, but also like my aunts and uncles, and we're all very close to each other. And a part of that comes into also like respecting your elders. So I think a huge difference was a lot of people that I grew up with, because I grew up in white suburbia America. There wasn't really that level of closeness that my family has, and there wasn't that level of respect. Necessarily more like not that your parents don't trust you, but out of respect to them, you listen to them. Um, for example, my mom's very protective, and I love her dearly. And like growing up, I never really understood it, but now I kind of do, just because of the things she's read and she experienced through her work and through her life. That I'd never went to any high school parties or middle school parties, like crazy parties where the parents weren't there. I really didn't sleep over at anybody's house unless my mom knew who was going to be there, knew the parents really well, and mainly just family members. I had a curfew kind of until I was in my 20s. And yeah, I know my mom was being very protective. And I think part of that's also not just the culture, but just because I'm a woman. So tying back to the first question, like what's different? Like there's things that are not safe for a woman to do versus a guy is safer to do.
Yeah. I don't ever get, because I left it. I left home at 18, so I never. I was
No, I mean,
gone I was gone at
like
18.
I
So
used to live at home because like back to my culture upbringing, like it's normal for people to usually stay at home until like their job moves them away or they get married. And so
right,
still live in the same city that I work in. My mom loves having me at home and I don't have to pay rent. Like I love being here. I love having my family around. And
hey, go for it.
yep.
Definitely. I wish I didn't have to pay a mortgage sometimes. All right. So the last thing, what do you love about your life?
What do I love about my life? First and foremost, I love the people in it. I love my family. I love my loved ones. I have a core group of people that really help inspire me and motivate me and push me to be the best version of myself. And they just love me for me and don't expect me to be something that I'm not. And they accept me as my weird, funky, quirky self. And that's a huge, huge, huge help. And I think that's what I love most about my life. Um, I love the opportunities that I have. I love, I'm very thankful for all the trips that I've been on, the experiences that I've had that have helped shape me into the person I am today, the good and the bad.
Right. Well, that's all the questions. Appreciate you doing this for
My
me
pleasure.
and with me here. That's my first one to try, so we'll upload it. We'll see. Like I said, I get 10 people to watch it, but hey, maybe 10 people will watch it and learn something new.
Maybe. Hey, every little bit helps, right? You never know
Right.
what you're changing and what effect that has.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to hit the stop on the
Okay.
record.